enforcement right here on AM 1100 The Flag, WZFG. Well, thank you for making us a part of your cloudy, dreary Thursday morning. Day's going to get better. We know that. It just might not get a lot sunnier, but it is going to warm up all the way, Alex, to what are we saying? About 60 degrees today?
Yeah, right.
75,
no,
90?
not even close. No, not even close.
All right.
It's going to be 46. Yeah,
46 for the
my
high.
computer, I've got issues with it, but I can barely pull that up. But yeah, 40.
All right, so that's
46
the story.
for the high.
All right, we are pleased to have in studio this morning Than Baardson, and Than is the executive director at Unseen, and they are having a big event coming up next Thursday, so a week from tonight. And this is always a very cool event to find out what's happening in the fight against human trafficking, and Than has been good enough to stop over for a little bit of a preview. Hey, Than, how you doing, man?
Hey, good morning. Doing well.
Thanks for coming over. Great to see you as always.
Hey, great to be here.
I know you've been working hard at your big fall fire event. It's kind of your annual fall event.
That's
and
right.
You've been working hard. You've been compiling some information to share with folks and some stories as well. Here at the Flag, we've been really honored to be a media sponsor and help out with the event a little bit. So we're glad to be partnering with you on something that is such a great cause in our community, and you're doing work here and really around the world as well. So I'll just let you go for a little bit. Tell us about the big event you got coming up.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you guys so much for the incredible support. This night is turning into something really, really special. We're going to be not only sharing information about the results of Unseen's work this past year, but we're actually going to be introducing people to 3 survivors of trafficking, as well as 1 perpetrator, and what's being done in the fight, boots on the ground. And so we're working with Livewire to produce a pretty incredible interactive experience.
That's
for
going to
folks.
really hit home for a lot of people to actually hear people that this has happened to. Wow.
That's right. Yeah. So it's going to be a series of portraits and museum and interactive art style. We've got Chris Schuster and the Sugar Beats that are going to be playing. And if you have not heard Chris Schuster and his band, you're going to be in for an incredible surprise. This guy is a recent Fargo Star winner and lifelong musician. So that's going to be going on. The food's incredible. And we've got an interactive art project that's going to be going as well. So a local artist has been working actually with his son to tell the story of yet another survivor that Unseen's partners have worked with around the world. And so everything is really taken shape into an incredible night and is at no cost to any of the people who want to come. Our sponsors have taken care of every single dollar of the night. These aren't cheap to throw, yet we've got over 40 businesses, you guys included, that have come together to say, hey, let's just make this an amazing evening for people to come and support the work of Unseen. That's now touching over 3.3 million people in 35 countries, including the U.S.
Now, tell me about the interactive art a little bit. What in the world is this? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, so I'm going to be a little surprised as well. We've given the artist creative reign on this thing. So we've said, hey, he's actually the artist behind the NDSU logo. Not many people know that, but his name is Punchgat. And so he's going to be coming in, and he does a lot of work for Drecker and for other groups in town. So when we talked to him about the work of Unseen and really liked his style, we said, would you be willing to come and do art live so people can see your process?
Painting, drawing, what?
He's going to be doing some painting, yeah,
Awesome.
and a big canvas.
Wow.
And so that's all after this this trafficking exhibition, we're calling it. There's going to be a really short program, and one of my rules for all of the events that Unseen does is if I have to get a babysitter, it better be worth going to.
Yes.
So that's the baseline, is if you've got to get a sitter for the night, let's make this an incredible evening that people are going to remember.
Or if I have to get out of my pajamas.
That's right. Well, and so this one was a bit of a last-minute addition, but I went into Pixel Brewing Company. I don't know if anybody's been there
I
yet.
haven't, no.
It's a retro arcade.
Okay.
Over 75 games that they've put together, from the original Tron machines to Pac-Man. Pixeled is going to be at Fall Fire this year with a mini retro arcade up in our business sponsor section that'll be open to everyone after the presentation.
Wow.
It's going to be a fun night.
It sounds like it. Well, you said something earlier that piqued my interest. You said you've got a former perpetrator in the human trafficking world that's going to be talking about that perspective. Did I hear that right?
So he's not going to be sharing, thankfully. I think we'd have a lot of angry folks in the crowd, myself included. I've been tracking the story of one man who's been living in northern Thailand for over 20 years. And he was targeting kids, particularly kids who were vulnerable to trafficking and abuse, orphan children, children living in children's homes. This guy was paying his way into those so he could hurt kids. One of our partners and one of my close friends in northern Thailand tracked him down, arrested him, and he was convicted of uploading child sexual abuse material and sexual abuse against children for many, many years. So we're going to be simply sharing his portrait and his story to be able to see what's the other side of this.
Yeah.
We see the survivors, our hearts break for them,
Yes.
but what's the motivator behind this pure evil, and what's that look like? Now, that guy was let off with 48 hours of community service, and he's still out there in northern Thailand.
48 hours of community service.
48 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so I've been in contact with the investigators, and I said, here's what we're doing, and they're keeping a close eye on him and are putting another case together.
So you do a lot, obviously, different places around the world, but you're also mindful of what happens in our community here, too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is trafficking is an issue that really spans the globe. And one of the things that we were very surprised with in our research this past year was the fact that when it comes to child sexual abuse material or child pornography, North Dakota is in the top 34% in our nation for perpetrators of this. And that's irregardless of population. So here we are in the lowest 10% of the population, and we are in the top 34% when it comes to this pure evil. And so we are building our response to that right now, and we've met with local FBI, law enforcement, groups like the YWCA and others that are really boots on the ground here, providing for women and children that are being affected by this. Because we're not immune.
Yeah. There was a story in the forum maybe a week or so ago where a guy had this kind of just personal belief that something fishy is going on at some of these massage parlors around town. And it is his belief that there's a lot of human trafficking that goes into the businesses and the workers that they get there. Have you learned much about that, and what was your reaction to that story?
We did sit down and talk with Keith. And he was, it's a pretty interesting story. The Forum and High Plains Reader did stories from his perspective. And it's going to be interesting to see what builds out of that. Because, he basically just was fed up with what he perceived as a possible trafficking case and went in undercover. And reported what he saw and what he experienced. And the New York Times ran a really incredible article on that subject, if anybody's interested in learning about that further, because what they found was there are women from very, very poor parts of China and other Asian countries that are being trafficked through massage parlors across the U.S. right now. And that article cited that there were some organized crime ties to that. And not to say that any formal investigation has been done to, make that claim against anything here in Fargo. But if you look at the pattern, it's very similar to what we see in other parts of the country. And oftentimes those organizations are really running in the shadows.
Yeah.
We're not talking about it. We're not seeing it. And we don't see these women being hurt or abused.
Yeah.
And so really there isn't much of a response.
It's 8:15 here on the Need to Know Morning Show. We're visiting with Dan Baardson, and he is the CEO and executive director at Unseen. And here from our perspective at the Flag, we feel like God's given us this place and a microphone to say what's important and stand up for things that we believe. So we've been really happy to support Unseen, not just with airtime and commercials, but with our financial support as well. And we would encourage you to, if you take a look at the people that are fighting this, these folks are the hands and feet of Jesus going around our community and our world, trying to save people who need it. When you just take a look at what is right and what is wrong in the world, I can't think of anything that's more wrong in the world than people do what, like Dan was talking about, this guy in northern Thailand, preying on the most vulnerable people that are in our world and taking advantage of them in unspeakable ways. And so I hope you'll give some thought to checking this out. We've got, Nathan brought by some tickets here. If you'd like to go, we've got, say, about a dozen tickets here so we can get more. If you would like to go, no cost to you to go, There'll be some nice hors d'oeuvres. It'll be a fun night. You'll be able to hear what's going on and consider getting involved. I would challenge you to take a look at that. If you want to find out more, you can go to weareunseen.org. That's the website, weareunseen.org. And the big Fall Fire event is coming up Thursday, October 10th at the Avalon here in Fargo. Than, thanks so much for what you're doing and appreciate you stopping by this morning.
Thank you all.
It's 8:17. We're going to have a little fun when we come back.